Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Four Dads Podcast. With me, as always, Don Julio and myself, Teeds. What a weekend that we saw at Riviera Country Club, Pacific Palisades, California. The Genesis Invitational. Tiger Woods comes back. Jon Rahm holds on to his lead. Max Homa makes it very interesting on that last hole. I mean, what are your takeaways from just that tournament as a whole? I mean, I felt like it had almost everything. Like it was really well done.
I mean, the first, in my opinion, well, first and foremost, like huge congratulations to Jon Rahm. Like you were my pick. You got me some money on DraftKings. Thank you so much. Like you're the man. But just, I mean, if you look at the names that are there in like the first six, every single one of those guys was contending. I mean, Will Zalatoris came out striking the ball.
Dude, what did you like a
So
7
good.
under on Sunday or something? Like
so
he's just on
good.
fire.
Well, just the whole tournament. I mean, Again, Will Zalatoris' biggest downfall is that weird putting stroke he's got.
Dude, that is the scariest putting stroke ever.
It makes me shake every time I was watching it on ESPN, and I was just like, what are you doing? Like you line up middle and you hit it off the toe. What are you doing?
And he puts it like he's like trying to put side spin on it. Like my dad when he put the last time I took him to a driving range, he's like, "You're doing a little putting game," and he's literally just like, "Let's put some spin on it." I'm like, "Dad, it's not like ping pong, and you're trying to put a spin on a shot. You know, you got to put it straight, let it roll."
Yeah,
but some of those putts, man. Ugh.
I know, but no, I mean, just a great. Display of golf from everyone within the top 10. I mean, Homa came out swinging. The guy had nothing but just confidence in every swing. I think on the last day, that first hole where he kind of tugged it a little left, I think he just kind of had a little bit of jitters because it just seemed like he stood over that ball for a little while. But Patrick Cantlay did awesome too. Colin Morikawa, I kind of was a little bit disappointed with. I thought he was going to play a little bit better, but it wasn't terrible. I think he's still going through some changes in his swing. I think him recently being married, it's still kind of like it's taking its toll. And kind of goes this little
figuring that out.
But even Cooch, Kuchar was up there at number 8.
He did.
And the one guy that I was really, really, really happy to see up there in the top 10 was Jason Day. The guy, I feel like he's just fallen off, and here he is, and he finishes -6 for the just for the tournament, 9 under. Like he's playing some good golf too. And then it looked like Cobra did a pretty good job setting up Gary Woodland with those clubs because he was smashing the ball.
Yeah, dude, it's the hit of the Gala, came out hot on the final day. I think he shot a 5 or 6 under as well.
Yeah.
Keith Mitchell, who we saw at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, no one rocks a visor better than Keith Mitchell right now. Since Bubba Watson's gone on the PGA Tour, like Keith Mitchell just rocks that really well. And I mean, just seeing Max Homa, his raw emotion. If you saw that interview after the round where he was like legitimately tearing up because of just how much the Genesis Invitational meant to him. He's like, no one's here the last time that I won it, but now this time I have my family here. All these people were here. I'm from LA. I wanted to win. He legitimately was like tearing up, and I'm like, dude, I love to see that. Like, he's like, I'm sorry, it just means a lot to me. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to apologize. That's what people want. They want this to mean something to people, and not just another golf tournament at a country club.
Speaking of raw emotion, just to get into it here, dude, what an absolute boss move by Tiger Woods, handing JT a tampon after out driving him. But to all of you out there that were so offended by it, like, get a sense of humor. Come on. It's nothing offensive at all. It's just a simple joke amongst men. And honestly, I think that move, those types of fun interactions, joking interactions, is what the PGA needs more of, because everything is just by the book, by the rules. You got to be this way. You got to have your shirt tucked. You got to do this. And it's like, to those who consume and like are about this, about the PGA, like,
Right.
we're not all like that. You know, I mean, some of us are, but to like maybe the 70% that don't really take the game that seriously, like, yeah,
That's what people
you
do
know,
on the course.
that's
And I
what
mean,
they
like
do on the course.
he didn't flash it and wave and say, "Hey, look,
Yeah.
look what I'm doing." He literally put it under his hand, like handed it to him when they're walking together. It was
Yeah.
the perfect camera angle with like 50 megapixels was the only thing that could pick up what it was. And I mean, the fact that it got brought up and all this backlash on it, you know, I'm sure tampon sales for men have probably skyrocketed for the first time ever.
I'm sure.
Because how many guys do you think went to go get those to put in their bags for when
For
they
sure.
outdrive their buddies? I mean, like it's
For
an
sure.
inside joke that every golfer is going to understand
Yes.
now. And so, I mean, like what's the big deal about it? Like there should be no offense there because he wasn't like telling everybody and doing it in front of their face. It was kind of just like an in-person. And if you don't know Justin Thomas and Tiger Woods and their relationship, they're homeboys. Justin Thomas is like Tiger Woods' little brother. You know, they treated that way when they did the Paynes Valley. I think it was what was it, the round, or what do they call it?
Something like the match or whatever.
The match,
Well,
exactly.
It wasn't the match. I mean, the match,
Right, but like one of those things that kind of got started up like that. And I think Tiger did something similar where he outdrove Justin Thomas and went like, "Oh, is that my ball? Oh wait, no, mine's all the way over here." Like just messing around. And I mean, like again, I personally don't want golf to turn into something like baseball where you hit a home run and pitchers get pissed at guys for watching the ball for a couple seconds before taking a round around the bases. I mean, to an extent, as a former pitcher, I get it that you're frustrated as a pitcher and you're irritated, but guess what? You're the reason why that happened. You gave up that pitch. He hit what you threw. And so getting mad and things like that, it's fun of the game, you know, just having fun. It's no dig at somebody. It's just messing around, boys being boys.
It's gotten to that point. I mean, going back to what you said about like, for hitters hitting a home run, staring at their ball, it's normalized now. To flip the bat, throw it up as high as you can. To look at your dugout and do some type of celebration. I mean, even when you get a double and you're seeing dudes do that or whatever, it's all normalized now. Sure, when it first happened, everyone was like, "Oh, it's disrespectful of the game," but dude, you're talking about golf, okay? Golf is starting to make its way back because of the relaxing environment that it has or that it provides with your friends. You have one of three different types of golfers. One being is like the old school aspirations of being a pro, right? Very serious, by the book type of guy. Then you have like your weekend warrior, who's the kind of guy who gets out, is just looking to have a good time, wants to catch a good buzz on there. And then you got the beginner who literally is, and I say this from like a business standpoint, like the beginner is really who you want to target in this industry because what they see on tour, those are the dudes who are going to go spend $10K on a bag, go spend, on everything that's in there. The guys who are already like established, who are kind of getting their, who already have their game kind of together. They post decent scores. Like me, I tend to collect more of putters than I do, changing out my irons or my wedges or my driver. I look more towards putters because I can't figure out like what I'd rather look down at. But even the weekend warrior too, you can say that person probably wants to switch up their driver more out of their bag than they would anything else. So lighten up PGA, lighten up fans and all of this whole woke movement. People, calm down. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, 98% of it's just people that are just like we talked about before, just fake outrage. They're just wanting to make something out of nothing and make a big deal out of something. But guess what? There's no bad thing as bad publicity. So tampons, their sales have tripled already just because people are talking about it, regardless. So yeah, I mean,
yep. Yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right.
But I mean, that was hilarious when it all came out.
To go a little further, you could even tell Tiger's apology was just total bullshit. He just,
of course,
he just looked like he was just like, I can't even believe I have to do this.
Exactly. It's like with a kid as being a dad now, and especially I remember as a kid when you did something and your parents were like, "Hey, apologize," and you're like, "Sorry," and they're like, "Mean it," like, "No, say it like you mean it," and it's like you're not going to mean it regardless. You're literally just saying it because you were told that,
Yep.
and that's exactly what that is. And I would say majority of these apologies that are getting called out by woke or just people that with fake outrage are. They're getting their fake outrage is going to get a fake apology, and obviously, I'm sure there were some people that were actually offended, but I kind of find it hard to even think about how they'd be offended to that. But yeah, I mean, it's Tiger Woods. Just let the man be. I honestly thought he played solid.
He played really good.
He played great on the odd days, on day 1 and day 3. Struggled on 2 and 4. But, overall, I think he said, I haven't really had too much experience walking around the courses, and that course looked pretty hilly. But, I mean, like we mentioned just now, he was out driving, Justin Thomas. He, not maybe consistently, but he had good torque. He had good ball speed. He was doing well. He just was missing easy putts. He could have done a lot better if he made some easy putts.
Well, and that was the one thing that a lot of sports analysts and like sports reporters, when they were watching him during the practice rounds, they were super impressed with was how it just looked like he didn't lose a step. The guy still is, cranking his driver at, 115 mile an hour club head speed, still smashing the ball at 181. Like he still has it. The biggest thing that I think it was, I forget what the commentator's name was. But they mentioned is that the biggest problem that they were seeing with him on a lot of wedge shots was that he's not able to get on that right side, right? Or on the left side. He's not able to get on that left side because his leg isn't strong enough. So on a few shots, it was like he wasn't able to get that certain touch because he had to kind of stay back. So now he's kind of cutting underneath it. I was like, that's actually a really good point, because if you ever watch Tiger before the accident, I mean, he's weight forward, very handsy player. And now, excuse me. And now,
just not physically able to, huh?
Yeah, now he's just physically not able. And if you look at his driver swing too, he's got that little tilt, hands are back, so he can get it up in the air, and then he lets his wrist kind of hit the draw, right, coming across the ball for his cut. Even his stinger's not as like stinger as it was before. So it definitely has taken a toll, and I'm sure he's still working on getting that leg up to strength to be able to do it, so he can, execute.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's just good to see him out there making another cut. Like playing the final round, not being in contention because of how amazing Jon Rahm played, but it's just good to have him out there and have solid 4 rounds. And I think he shot 1 under, so he shot under throughout the whole tournament, which was impressive. But I mean, jumping into Jon Rahm, I mean, again, this man has just been lights out, on fire, whatever you want to say. And I think it was the Par Train that was mentioning within the last 2 years, he's just known as the hothead. When he misses the putt, how pissed he would get, how physically you could see his emotions on his sleeve, and how much more tempered he's been over the last few months, a year. He's just been so much better at holding in that frustration, if there is it, or just letting it go. And I feel like that has probably played a huge factor in his game, because being able to not let your emotions get to you and, let that amp you up or calm you down. I feel like he's just so much more even keeled that, and also having 2 kids now, I feel like that's also something that, because you saw his 2 little sons at the end of the, and his wife greeting at the end of the tournament. I just always said that's always special when you could share that with family. But what did you think on with Jon Rahm and his? I think I would consider it domination, not really with Max Homa keeping up with him, but I mean just over the last few months in general.
I mean, to your point, and to Evan's point at Par Train regarding his frustrations, Jon Rahm is just an absolute competitor. The guy really really lives for for the weekend and wants to make sure that he's moving and doing his thing. But I think that was kind of the fuel that he needed to bring out the player that we're seeing right now in 2023. Those little mistakes he made where he missed a few putts from like 8 feet. I think statistically, I saw this stat that said in 2022, Rahm was only putting about 50% from like 8 feet. Yeah. Which, if you look at like Brooks Koepka, when he was just demolishing all these majors, he was like 75%, 80% from like 8 feet. Wow. I mean, could you imagine having that confidence, just stepping it over, just being like, cash, it's in. Like,
right. And
now, after this weekend, or after the last few tournaments, Rahm has been at about 87% was the last that I saw.
Wow.
So he's doing something different, but also too, it seems like it just seems like he's playing his own game. Like everyone else is just kind of like, oh, hey dude, how's it going? Like, good to see you. He's just in his own world. It's just him against the course, which is, he's got that Tiger mentality going right now. Everything is moving in motion. The locomotive is cruising, and he's got no stops for the next, 100,000 miles or whatever it may be. So,
right. I mean,
he just looks good. I mean, the guy just looks confident with everything he's doing. I really don't have much else to say besides just like
the confidence is all-time high. But I mean, like I saw, might as well. I mean, I saw somewhere that Jon Rahm was interviewed by somebody and was asked, what's your goal in golf? Everyone has like won a couple tournaments, make enough to survive, make enough for a comfy living for my family. And Jon Rahm's like, what's the record right now? 19? Is it 19 majors for Jack Nicklaus or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the exact number. If that could be it. But let's say he's just like 19 majors. Like no matter what, like until I can't play anymore, I'm going to play until I get that. And if I can't, I'm just going to keep playing. No matter if I get there or if I don't. I'm going to always try to break that record. That's what I want more than anything. I don't care about tour wins as much as major wins. And he got his first one with the U.S. Open last year. 18. Okay, so 19 would break it. But obviously 18 is the record. Okay, and Tiger has 17 or 6 or 15?
I don't know off the top of my head.
But let me see here. I know Jon Rahm was actually interviewed, I think it was a couple days ago, about Tiger Woods, and he said something about Tiger Woods. Like, if you take out, I think it was like 98 and 99 of Tiger Woods when he won the Tiger Slam, where he won those 4 majors in a row. He's like, you take out those 2 years and those tournaments, he only won like 5 majors and like, or maybe a 3-year period of like, he only won like 5 majors and like 14 tournaments. But like in those 3 years, he was just absolutely on fire, Tiger Woods. Where like you just could not keep that up. Like we mentioned in the last podcast, Brooks Koepka 4 majors in 2 years. But like Tiger did that times 3 for an extra year. Like it's just insane to think about Tiger Woods. And I was talking to my wife, and I don't even know if I mentioned on this podcast. I'm blanking right now, but Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus is that LeBron James, Jordan, conversation that we'll never truly know. Obviously, Jack Nicklaus dominated back then, like absolutely dominated. He was the first player to ever play golf around the majors and focus things around the majors compared to people that just try to play and make a living and then, play the majors when they came around. He focused around those. Yeah. And obviously, me seeing Tiger Woods, I have seen him once in person, but like, I'm going to say Tiger Woods is the best. But, people back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s might say Jack Nicklaus, and it's just like that debate that you can go back and forth.
Yeah, so to go back, so Tiger's got 15 majors wins, but he's got 82 wins on the PGA Tour, which is like insane. Insane. But I mean, hey, I think for the generation of golf for the golfers in this generation that we're seeing on the PGA Tour, Jack is the cream of the crop. They all have huge respect for him, for Arnold, for Gary Player, all those guys,
Yep.
they all have massive, Tom Watson, they all have huge respect for all those guys. Okay. But Tiger is like, to be compared to Tiger, to even be anywhere close or in the vicinity of what he's accomplished, I think that's where the players in today's tour are really chasing, is how can you be that game changer to the entire golf industry itself. Think about, I think every player that we've talked about has had their moments, right? Like, you talk about Ricky Fowler and his loud kind of like crazy kind of a personality he would bring to the tour in his rookie years, right? I mean, everyone was like, oh yeah, I want to be like Ricky, right? Then you talk about like Brooks Koepka and his absolute just killer mentality for the way he played golf and just his overall dominance. I mean, no one had seen that for a while.
Yeah.
Then you talk about like Bryson DeChambeau and his power, right? Like, holy crap, it's unheard of. Then you talk about like the finesse of Jordan Spieth and how he's the all around player. He's got distance when he needs it. He's got the crazy good play, right? With an amazing putter. Same thing with Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson's got all the power in the world and, all this stuff. Everyone's kind of had their moments. And, and kind of going back into like full swing, right? I don't know if you made it to the episode about Colin Morikawa, but they kept saying like, he resembles a lot of Tiger. And when I heard that, I kind of was like, how? Where?
Yeah.
I don't see that, because he came onto the scene hot by winning the tournament over here at Harding Park,
the PGA Championship,
the PGA Championship, right? Which, I mean, quite honestly, he went to Cal. The kid played that.
That's
course.
What I honestly thought he had a shot in that tournament because he was in the Bay Area. I was like, maybe.
The kid had more of a chance than anybody else. I mean, Tiger hadn't played it since Daly was on tour, so it was like it's kind of an irrelevant course. But he came on hot there, and then he ended up winning another major, and it was like, whoa, who is this kid? But I don't see that. I don't see that tenacity, that hunger to just like literally murder anybody that's in your way, like Tiger did. I mean, Tiger would literally play games with people. Like I saw an interview earlier today regarding Adam Scott. They were playing a tournament. It was him and Tiger in the final group, and they had like a they came down to like the 17th hole. I forgot where they were playing. Oh, it was no, I'm not even going to take a chance at it. But anyways, Tiger kept noticing. Adam Scott said that Tiger noticed like earlier in the round that Adam would stare at his bag, see what he was going to hit. So Tiger ended up taking more club with the same type of aggressive swing that like he would if it looked like a full swing, but was like choking down, hitting knockdown shots to still be like in the area, but he was hitting these controlled little knockdown shots to where finally on one of the holes, they have a little bit of wind into their face. He literally sees like Adam Scott trying to look around his caddy to see what his caddy's going to hand Tiger. He takes a 4-iron, right? On a hole that Adam Scott said was like 178 with a little upwind. And he puts it to, and like, I guess Tiger puts it to like 3 feet above the pin, little downhill putt. So that Adam Scott's standing there like, did he really just hit a 4-iron to that? Like, I feel like that's way too much club. What is he thinking? He hits the same club, flies it over the green by like 20 yards. And then Tiger, as they're walking down, Tiger just walks over to him and says, "Don't ever look at my bag again." And Adam Scott just said, Adam Scott just was like, "What? Like, what do you do? You're trying to contend. You're trying, caddies and players kind of talk in secret, so then that way other players don't
do play the same thing. He's like,
well, I mean, like getting into that, like, are you ever that kind of a person when you've played with or against other people where you will dictate what you hit based off what they hit? Like,
no.
People are like, oh, what are you going to hit? Oh, I'm going to hit this. Like, do you ever go, oh, maybe I should do that? Or,
I play with a lot of guys, and this isn't like to boost my ego or anything like that, but I play with a lot of guys where I'm hitting maybe 1 to 2 clubs less than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they'll be like, what, 150, or you're hitting, it's a 160, and you're hitting a pitching wedge. I'd be like,
mm-hmm.
yeah. They'd be like, I'm hitting an 8-iron, a 9-iron.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I said, look, and then I'll break it down to him, and I'll tell him, like, it's a slight wind. I'm going to flight it. I'm going to try and get behind the pin, get it to comebacks, but I said, I ultimately would love to try and make a hole in one, like that's my idea.
Yeah. I mean, like, I see things on like with what you just mentioned, and what was it? The greatest game ever played with Shia LaBeouf. And like there was like a whole scene where like the guy's looking at his club. He's like, oh, he's got the driver out. Why is he going driver? He's like, oh, I'm going to go with the driver too.
American guy. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And so like,
guy.
And I'm like, I'm never that kind of a person that'll get intimidated. Oh, you're using a pitching wedge wheel? Cool. That might be a 9 for me. Or if that's a driver for you, if that's a driver for me, but only a 2-iron or a 4-iron for you, cool. I don't care. I'm different than you. I'm not your height. I'm not your weight. I'm not your strength. I'm different. Everyone's a little bit different. A lot of people get too focused in that, in my opinion, where it's kind of like a puff in your ego, like, oh, if you could do it, I can do it. Well, you're not going to do it. Your shot's going to be worse, and you're going to be in a worse position, more pissed off than why didn't I just do what I know what I'm supposed to do? So I was just curious, just because that is interesting. Obviously, you're watching Tiger Woods, and that's a different situation. It's not just like playing around with your boys, but know, one of the greatest of all time, and you're kind of like, oh, if he's doing that, then maybe he knows something that I don't know. Maybe not. I'm going to use that same club, but maybe he knows something where the wind's at or something. But that's an interesting interview.
Well, I mean, even Phil talks about all the games that all the mental games that Tiger would play, and hearing that interview. And guys, you can go find this interview on. I think it's included on HBO Max with Tiger Woods' documentary. But it's also on Phil Mickelson's page on YouTube, where he talks about like who was his toughest competitor, which he talks about Tiger, and he talks about the mental games that he would play. But one of the most iconic ones was when they got paired up in the final group at the Masters, and they're on the hole where it's got the big draw.
Is it the hole 2 or the 10th or
the 10th? Yeah, the 10th hole. So they're on the 10th. Phil hits a driver with just a nice little cut, and it's down there. Like I think Faraday was talking about it. And he's like, "Wow, that is a deep ball." All of a sudden, Tiger pulls 3-wood purposely.
Yep, and I remember this.
He knocks it by him by like 30 yards, and then as they're walking down, Phil goes, "You normally hit your 3-wood like that?" and like I think Tiger just said
farther,
something like, "Yeah," he goes further or something like that. And it's like, dude, that's just the ultimate like.
And that just got in his head. I think that rattled him that round, and he just like was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And I feel like with this whole Bryson DeChambeau like hitting the crap out of the ball thing, like too many people are relying on that. And I always tell people like if they find out that like I don't hit my driver that far, maybe 280 to 300 on a good day. Like if it's warm outside, I can maybe go 300. But they're like, "Oh my gosh, you can hit it like 280, 300." I only hit it like 240. I'm like, okay, who cares? Like if you know, like at the end of the day, all I want to know is how far my ball is going, and that I will hit it there every time. If it's 250, if it's 300, I just want to know that it's going to go how far I plan for it to go. Obviously, the farther the better, but too many people are getting caught up in these numbers.
Well, I mean, dude, the long ball is for show. Everyone is like, "Whoa!" Like that guy really hits the crap out of the ball, and it's cool to see it go because you don't see that a lot,
of course,
right? And especially if you're someone who has control over it, it's even more like, holy smokes,
yeah.
But we got to get Evan on this podcast. I'd love to have him here, but I agree. He put out a tweet several months ago that talked about you know, hitting the long ball and how irrelevant. He said how irrelevant it is because he's like, if you take the average golf course, right, out of all the courses in the world, the average distance of your Muni is about 67 to 6,800 yards. Mm-hmm. And he did the math and he broke it down of like what every par 4 is essentially going to be at the average of what that distance is.
Right.
And then he went to go do like a voiceover talking about how if you can hit a drive 250 on a course that's 6,800 yards at the furthest, and you're playing from the blue tees, you are still in contention to hit every green in regulation just based off of the distance alone if you break it down. And I will say I loved that tweet. I reshared that video and I even saved it because it helped me, because I'm like, I don't need to hit driver. I don't need to hit 3-wood on every single tee box. I could literally hit a 2-iron. I could hit a 5-iron, still get out there, 240, 235, and I still have a comfortable 8-iron, still comfortable 7-iron into some of these holes based off of the shot that I want to hit. And I'm touching more greens because I'm hitting a more controlled full swing club compared to having to hit it all the way up to the front, get stuck behind or on the right side of a bunker, have to hit a beautiful flush flop shot or chip it into the corner so that way it like takes the speed off, trickles down, It's like I'd rather just give myself a full shot.
If you think about it, 250, let's just say, for example, 250 is a shot on a basic par 4 that you would say an average of a par 4, let's just say 400 yards. 400 yards. You hit 250, you're 150 out. For someone that hits a 250, that could put you anywhere from a 7, a 6 to an 8-iron. For me, 150 is about a 9-ish, right in between there, depending on how high or wind or whatever. But I mean, that, like you said, you're definitely able to put that a green in regulation. I feel like you have a good chance of a green in regulation from like a better chance, should I say, from like a 7-iron to a higher club. 6, 5, 4, it gets a little bit more difficult, but it's very doable, and that's very true. And that's one thing that's nice about golf. It's like, you watch Bryson DeChambeau. I think it was like 2020 when the pandemic hit. They just restarted the tournaments back up again. They were playing Detroit. I think Bryson won the what tournament? With the Quicken Loans, whatever tournament or whatever. And he drove, I think it was like a 400-yard par 4 or whatever. Drove at like 350, got within 50 yards. He's playing against a guy who's like 5'8", $150 soaking wet, and this guy just hits driver, and hits it maybe 270. And, he's probably about 120, 130 yards out, puts it about like 6 feet from the pin, second shot. Bryson's 50 yards. No, Bryson's 50 yards out, chips it to about 12, misses his birdie putt, and he makes his birdie putt. And so, it was like, okay, that drive meant nothing. If the drive means nothing, if you can't back it up with a chip, in my opinion. If you're not, it's kind of like the NBA. Well, exactly, the putt, obviously, yes. But I mean, putting yourself in an easier situation to make that putt, right? Like, I know we were talking about earlier the NBA All-Star Game. It's kind of like, I heard this thing yesterday with who's that guy who always enunciates his voice the most? Well, that was like, he always enunciates his vowels a lot. I'm blanking on his name. Love the guy, but that's what he's known for. Anyway, he was saying that 94% of the shots in the NBA All-Star Game were either threes or dunks.
Yeah.
Like 94%. And that's like, if you're going to hit driver, you better chip really well, because there's no reason to hit driver really, really well, really, really far, if you can't make those inside 100-yard chips to within 7 to 8 feet. And again, putter comes into that too. But if you can't do that, and you're chipping at 12 to 15 feet, well, then you might as well just, like you said, 2 to 3, 2-wood, 2-iron, 3-wood, or whatever, and give yourself a more comfortable shot and go from there. Yep. But there's so many ways to be successful at golf, which is also cool. You don't have to be the long ball. You could be, a finesser. There's so many ways to be, and that's
and the thing is too is your score is set. You already know what you need to shoot if you want to if you want to have an average round to whoever sloped or graded the course as like 72, that's you're good. That's average. That's so you already know. It's like you have 3 strokes to make it. You got 4 strokes. You got 5 strokes to break even.
Yep.
Why overcomplicate it? Like
exactly.
I get it. And that's it really symbolizes the game. One, I think for anybody, but 2, it kind of gives you a little bit of a check of kind of like, okay, I really don't need to hit driver all the time here. I really don't need to do all this, I can make this a lot easier on myself for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we should turn over really quickly to the LIV Golf. They just released, I think within the last few days, their 2023 team rosters. Looks like we have, I'm going to have it up on the screen right now for everybody to see. It looks like there's going to be 12 teams, if I'm doing my math right. I was a history major, so it might be off. But we got 12 teams, the Aces, the Cliques, the High Flyers, the Majestics, the Crushers, the Ironheads, Smash, Fireballs, Range Goats, Torque, Ripper, and Stinger. And with each team, it looks like there's 4 players on each team. Let's see, my math isn't good. Let's see, 4 times 12, that's 36? No? 48, let's say about 48 players. Based off of who you've seen on these teams, who are you most interested to watch team-wise? I know obviously golf is a very, individual sport, but there is ways for them to win a team in an event. I guess the lower score wins the team event, and you can still win an individual event.
I'm going with the Smash.
For Koepkas,
sure. With the
Koepka Bros and Matthew Wolff.
Yep, those are the guys that I'm going with because those guys are extremely underrated. I mean, everyone just like I said, I just complimented the dominance of Brooks, and now he's healthy. And apparently he's playing some of the best golf that he's played in a while. And he's having a little bit of buyer's remorse because he wishes that he could still contend on the PGA is what's floating around on Twitter and on TikTok and Instagram is that he's having a definite remorse on moving to the LIV Tour. But I like that team. I really like that team a lot. Those guys both bring valuable pieces to that team for sure.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to think, man, like, I don't know. I love Cam Smith. I love his game. I love his tempo. I love the mullet. I love the mustache. It's just a great look. But I mean, that's the only player that I like on Ripper. The Aces, Dustin Johnson, Pat Perez. I love Pat Perez. I've been a huge fan of Pat Perez ever since college when he was a fan of the Chive back in the day. Just seems like an awesome guy to play golf with, just for fun, just drinking and playing. But they got Patrick Reed on that team. So, there goes Aces. But potentially, I mean, I don't really have a favorite here. Crushers would be cool just because DeChambeau's a local guy. But I like Range Goats. I read, like I mentioned before, I'm reading a book on Bubba Watson right now called Up and Down about his life and things like that. And it's just really cool to see the inside of things, how his life has become. He wasn't able to have paternal kids with his wife, and so they had to adopt 2 kids. And just to see that side of it, just how blessed and thankful and grateful they are to have the kids that they have, and also what they had to go through to get those children. Yeah. But also Harold Varner, I like his game. I think he's got a very interesting swing. It's kind of goofy. Like, it looks just really uncomfortable, but he gets it done, and they're both Jordan golfers. But I just love Bubba Watson, just watching him swing the club, try and shape the ball, just being a goofy guy. I think, what was that, at the Waste Management a few years ago in one of the practice rounds, he hit driver on the 16th hole and actually made it on the green. I thought that was pretty cool. So I don't know. I've never heard of what a range – I don't even know what a range goat is, but maybe goats that are on the range that eat up all the grass or whatever. I don't know. But, maybe just the range goats. And, of course, they're bright pink like Bubba Watson's golf driver shaft. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to watch because how many events are there? Do you recall how many events that they have? I know it's obviously barely any compared to the PGA, but
Let me look. Hang on a second.
Because like besides them, while you're looking, I mean, I think what's a cool group is Torque, because it's got a lot of the guys from. I think David Puig.
There's 14 events this year.
14? Okay. That'd be cool to watch those. But with Torque, they got Joaquin Niemann, Sebastian Munoz, Mito Pereira, who you got to see a lot of in full swing. And that side of things, how Joaquin Niemann really looked up to Mito, I think is pretty cool. And David Puig, who is the number one, I think he was the number one amateur golfer at Arizona State over the last 2 years, and instead of trying to join the PGA Tour, he's just signed with LIV right off the bat. So he's like a fresh kid that I think is from Spain. And I think that'd be really cool one to watch as well, just because they're all international guys that are playing together. And I don't know. I mean, I wish the teams were a little different, but I really don't get how they pick the teams. Besides, do they have a draft? I have no idea how they pick these teams.
I have no idea. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I think my second team would be Torque for sure. I mean, I really like Joaquin Niemann. I think he's probably the the go-to guy there. I mean, he's got the kid can really smash.
He's
the
got
ball.
a whip, man. He's got a whip on him.
That's exactly why he's my that team is my number 2. I mean,
yeah,
Munoz is, I don't know. Just seeing him on full swing, he just seems like a little baby, and that's kind of the only person I don't like there. Let's see here. I'll look more at it. Like a close third to that, I would say, or my third pick would be Crushers. You can't. I mean, you can't not diss the long ball. I mean, to see Bryson hitting it. I mean, even Paul Casey too. He still rips it. I mean, he's probably one of the best iron strikers that I've seen in a very long time. He hits everything so crisp.
But isn't Charles Howell getting up there in age?
Charles Howell's getting up there, but that's fine. I mean, you got two decently young dudes who.
Yeah, but you know who the other guy is? Who is he? Anirban Lahiri?
I don't know. But my fourth one would be the Rippers.
Can't go wrong, dude.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that. I think number 5 would probably be Range Goats. 6 would be the Majestics.
Okay. Got the craziest pants.
Got the craziest pants, but they also got probably one of the longest 3-wood hitters in all of golf, which is Stenson. Let's see here. 8. I would probably go with Phil, right, in the high flyers. 9, going with Stingers. 10, going with the Ironheads. And then I think my last one would have to be
Aces or Gleeks?
Oh, wait, I missed one, didn't I? Oh, yeah.
Top 2.
So
top left, yeah.
Yeah, 11 would be Gleeks, and then the last one is Aces just because of Patrick Reed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy with Stinger. You got Louis Oosthuizen, who I love watching him golf just because his swing is just so beautiful. It's just a thing of beauty, honestly, and I love watching it in slow-mo. I've watched it many times in slow-mo. But it'll be interesting to see LIV this year and see how everything all works out. I know they're complaining about PGA Tour, how they're basically making their golf association not profitable. But at the end of the day, was it really all about getting any money? I mean, they literally threw hundreds of millions of dollars.
At some point, you're going to need to make something, because if Donald Trump wasn't throwing, his courses for free, I don't think they'd have 14 events personally. So they got to start doing something to be profitable. And in the United States, you need to have a liquor license. You need to have all these different things to try and make money. But ticket sales is one thing, but ultimately they need to find somebody who is willing to stream their platform. And hey,
wasn't it CW? No, was it at CW? Did they sign with somebody?
No, they don't have anybody yet. But I think, to my understanding, but honestly, I don't know if you've heard of this new company called Rumble. They're trying to compete with YouTube.
Okay.
They already have like a live streaming capability for like news and real time events that are happening. I think the LIV should partner with them and see if they will stream the LIV Tour, and then now Rumble has a streaming entertainment piece. Or being that they're based out of Saudi Arabia, right? Mm-hmm. They should just go down the street, go hit up their boys at Hotspot, that's the streaming company for Disney Plus based out of India. They should see if they can do their own thing. Or they go to Europe and ask DAZN to say, hey, you guys want to stream our LIV Tour for us? DAZN doesn't have golf. All they have is boxing, soccer, and UFC.
Interesting. I mean, they definitely got options. I was just thinking, I think LIV, what they should do, besides having a few championship tournaments, as you said, they have 14 events. They should have every team have a home course and one tournament on one of the home courses. So like the Aces get one tournament at their home course, the Gleeks get one tournament. So it's basically a tour that goes to each of their home courses, and then have like a couple, maybe majors or things like that they create on top of that.
It's like a men's club, dude.
Right?
It's like a men's club tournament league, basically.
But I mean, like, think about it. The Majestics would have one somewhere in Europe. Aces probably somewhere in, like, I know just Dustin
Jupiter,
Johnson,
Florida.
Like you can easily like throw these around. Cameron Smith, they could have one in Australia. With Team Torque, they can have it somewhere in South America, whether it's Chile or something like that. You could really throw it around, and I think it could be kind of cool of a thing to do. I just thought about that. I'm like, if you're only having so few events, give yourself a home, like give one team like technically a home field advantage. I think that'd be kind of cool to see, since everything's so spread out anyway. It's not like they don't have enough time to set everything up. So I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool.
But, I mean, Prince Solomon, hit us up if you need some business. If you need some business guys.
Copyright, trademark, whatever. That idea.
Prince Muhammad Solomon, we got you, man. We got you. We got some ideas.
Got $1 billion idea. Billion with a B.
Open to collaborating. We're here to help you.
If you need some broadcasters, we got you.
Just give us a year's supply of gasoline, so we don't have to pay for it in America.
We'll talk details later. That's a start. I feel like that.
Yeah, I hope I got his name right. Yeah. Prince Muhammad Solomon bin Abuz. I don't know. I'm not even going to pronounce that last one.
Mr. Muhammad, please.
Dear Mr. Muhammad, I know you've recently gone into some ventures with the LIV Tour. We would be more than happy to collaborate on some growth potential opportunities for you.
Yeah, right. Please let us know at your latest convenience.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this is a good spot to end the podcast. I feel like we had a great week of golf. This week we got the Honda Classic coming up, which will be interesting to see how well that goes. We can dig a little bit more deep into Full Swing. I think I'm going on second round of all the episodes, seeing anything that I've missed. Just fun all around. It was a great tournament to watch. I enjoyed it. I know you did. A lot of news is coming out, and really just looking forward to the future. And again, if you guys haven't checked us out on Instagram, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, definitely give us a follow. We're posting stuff, as much content as we can, a couple things a day to keep the engagement up. If there are any questions or anything, we're definitely trying to get other people on the podcast with other various experiences throughout the golf industry, the golf game, golf world, just because, watching two dads talk is fun. It's great, but it's always nice to have a third in here and, getting a different perspective of things. But really appreciate all the support we've had so far, and looking forward to continue this journey with everybody. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care.
See you later, guys.